The quality of our life can be dictated by the quality of questions that we ask. A layer to that, and what today's guest is going to bring, is a reverence and a respect and how to bring the life and the thrivability and the enjoyment out of the relationships, and how truly important our relationships can shape, craft, and add so much energy and so much value to our lives with ourselves and in relation to one another, and in intimacy with relationships, as well as welcoming to the show Damodar, as he guides individuals to move through patterns that are keeping them stuck, empower them, find deeper meaning, calm, clarity of the mind, cultivating purpose. But it's so important, as he specializes in relationships, life communication, emotional intelligence, and empowerment. He is the founder and co-owner of Bhava Wellness Healing Center in Tucson. He's been a life coach in private practice since 2010, but a relationship coach in private practice over the last few years. And in the time that I've been here in Tucson, I remember first hearing about Bhava Wellness, and I was like, ooh, that sounds good. And I got to experience some bhakti yoga and just be in community with them. And it was such a space full of life, full of energy, full of love, full of authenticity, and diving deeper with this man and the appreciation of his journey, as I like to think that he's a man of the world, but really diving into attachment and what the hell that even is, and how is that really either putting a stranglehold or adding some space in things, because there's aspect in healthcare professionals, I think, where our relationships are absolutely critical because there's a means of community support, exploration, and things. But without further ado, y'all, please welcome to Soul Coffee, Damodar. Welcome, brother. It's good to have you.
Thank you for the beautiful words of welcoming. Honored to be here, and just love being around you. So you have great energy, and every time that we connect, it's inspiring to me. So really appreciative of being here on the podcast. And to highlight a couple things, thanks for the intro, but you mentioned the quality of our lives. And actually, there was a Harvard study done. You know, you might have heard of Harvard, right? I mean, this is like the top of the top, that showed that the quality of our relationships dictate the quality and longevity of our lives, right?
Longevity, that's
the
good.
longevity of our lives, the health of our lives, like meaning how long we live. Like, just simply put, how long we can live and thrive in this world. And so attachment science or attachment styles is sort of a buzzword, right? And for some of us out there, we might have heard, like, what does attachment mean? And I'm by no means an expert, so I'm just kind of giving forward what I've been taught and what I've learned over the years. But attachment style is basically how we are hardwired to do relationship, right? I think I just do relationship like I want to do relationship. I think like I got it on lockdown. This is what I want, how I do it. But actually, we have blueprints that are created at a very young, the most vulnerable age, when we're like from 0 to 18 months, when basically we're developing. And this is where the idea of attachment comes from. Okay, so that during those times when we're a baby, when we're developing, we have no real free will in a sense of our own. All of a sudden, we start to create ways so that we can survive within which to get some connection with our primary caregiver, usually a mother, okay? And that is usually, we feel like the mother caregiver is there, and we can feel safe and secure that they're there. And when they leave, we can also feel, okay, I can be myself. I can be an individual on my own alone, but I know mom caregiver's coming back. I feel good about that. That's called a secure attachment style, okay? And then the other three, they're called insecure. And I don't really like labels because, then it makes us feel strange about ourselves. But this is science, and this is what science often does. But simply put, some parts of science, I don't want to make large generalizations, right? They can make us feel like, we're wrong,
right?
Which is not my belief system, right? So I'll use one of my teachers, Stan Tatkin, his analogy. The first one is called an anchor, secure attachment. The next is called a wave. And the wave feels like mom caregiver is there, but then she's not always, I can't always depend on it. They're not there. Wait, they're not there. Wait, if if I reach out, if I say, mom, if I cry, if I say, come, and she'll be there. She'll come back to me, and I can keep her because I'm afraid she may not be there. Okay, these are generalizations, but we all have some of these blueprints. The next one would be called like an island or an avoidant. And the island is shit. Oh, excuse me.
Oh, no.
Is that okay?
Oh, fuck
okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Do that.
Just for, story's sake. Shit. Mom, dad, caregiver person, I don't know. They're not here. I don't know when they're going to come back. I'm just going to like soothe myself. I'm just going to be with me. Because I can't depend on the person. Okay. The last one, which is very rare, but you've seen this in relationships. I'm not saying you, Jamal. I'm saying you out there have seen this in your relationships. And it's chaotic. It's that there was a caregiver would come and then maybe be abusive. And then be abusive while they were coming and connecting. And then they would leave.
It's good.
And then the child's like, wait. So when you come, you're abusive, but then you're leaving. And then I want you. But then when you come, you're abusive. And I don't know what to do. Right. So that is a very chaotic blueprint. And there's a lot of trauma there. And that blueprint, to go fast forward, which we're going to do in a moment, that chaotic one, if you're out there and you've ever been like, why am I always in relationships that seem crazy and seem chaotic? And I am okay with someone abusing me. Why does that keep happening? Why do I allow that? Well, maybe this is from some of this early experience in your childhood. So all these things come up when we get into partnership. And this is why I think partnership is such a path to growth and self-awareness, because if you're not in partnership, you might not see some of these patterns. But once you get partnered up, and it could be, and I experienced this myself, it could be the best partnership. Some of these patterns are going to unconsciously come to the surface, and they're going to start dictating your interaction and dynamic with the other person, and they're going to compromise your connection if you don't learn how to navigate them, how to create more consciousness around them. Okay? How does that sound so far?
Oh, I think you laid a very great blueprint, or be able to give some footing for people and be able to, okay, the gears are starting to turn. And one thing that I'd love to ask is, how can the evaluation of our attachment style be understood in a way or leveraged in a way for people to get the most out of their relationship or why they're even in one?
Great. So that bridges like this early blueprint to the now. Like,
nice.
What happens now? And so have you ever noticed that sometimes there's some partnerships that happen like this, that there's one person who is needy, and they partner, or they come off needy, quote unquote, which is another, like, I think, messed up thing, that like calling someone, oh, you're too needy. I mean, we all have needs. But someone who seems like they're overly needy. And then they somehow partner up with someone who's really like not available. Right?
Yeah.
What is that playing out? That's playing out a blueprint from early on when caregiver wasn't available, and their nervous system is used to that feeling that the only way that I get love is if I find someone who's unavailable and I try to get it. And I'm needy and they don't give it to me. Because when they were young, they were used to that as love. Get it? So they might not have been getting, quote unquote, a full experience of being loved, but the only way they got connection was through that pattern. So when we move forward, we start to see, oh, if we have some awareness of these attachment styles, wait a second, this is part of my blueprint, and I'm repeating it because my nervous system, my body and mind have been taught this is how I get love. And you know what? You can keep it like that. But I would say that is a low-level relationship. Imagine. You're needy, you want to connect, and your partner is an avoidant person, and they don't give you any, and you just keep on doing the circle, and the circle, and the circle, and the circle, and you never get what you want. So you can do that, people do that, but to me, that is a low-level relationship. So attachment style means you can empower your relationship by both people in that scenario I just outlined, understanding, oh wait, this is something that comes from an early place, and maybe this partner is teaching me, is showing me, I'm ready to heal it. That's the big boom. So our partner becomes like a mirror and says, man, when you were a kid, you had this. You had this attachment style. You had trauma.
Yeah.
You had this. And the mirror is for you to say, oh, I can see it now. Mm-hmm. And then the other person, vice versa, the other person in partnership, I can see this now. Maybe it's time to gain some tools, to go to a coach, to go to a therapist, individually or as a couple, and learn how to understand these better so that when we see them coming up, instead of getting what I just termed a lower level connection, we can become more attuned to get a deeper connection. And we can both feel good about it instead of chasing the patterns that keep us in this stuck place.
Stuck pattern, which I freaking love, because our nervous system or our brain and our body are, our body's our unconscious mind, but it's hardwired for our survival.
Totally.
So, but it's also hardwired to just get to the next thing. So when we can leverage the understanding that we have in this dynamic relationship of both partners being conscious or aware or sensitive to how are things coming up, what's the interaction, then both can progress in a way that can be more sustainable or that can be more filled with life versus I need to latch onto you, or he's like, I need to stay away from you. But no, that's all an opportunity to reveal what's there. And in this conscious partnership or relationship style, it's important because then both are then, I imagine, are going to be closer to thriving or in quote unquote a higher level relationship where there's more juice to be enjoyed, there's more nectar available, there's more happiness to be achieved. And when things get stressed, because life is going to stress one partner more so than the other or both together, that you guys don't take it out on one another, but instead, like you said in the pre-chat, they can dance with one another, both individually and as a unit.
Yeah, wonderful. Yeah, so to kind of highlight some of the things that you just reflected, which were wonderful, is that, yeah, so what happens with this work that we're talking about, talking around, getting into, dipping our toes in right here, is when we get, yeah, exactly, it feels good. Or sometimes it might be a little too hot. Ooh, it's a little challenging for me right now. I don't know if I'm ready to go there.
It's a little cold.
It's a little cold.
Let me jump right in.
Yeah, cold plunge. So with this work that we're talking about, what you just said, so we start to create a relationship that becomes a mutual collaboration, and it becomes a way to land, meaning I'm safe, I feel good. And then that allows us, instead of wasting our energy in unproductive conflict and chasing an unavailable partner, or in like trying to push away a quote unquote too needy partner, instead our energy can go into not just deeper connection with ourselves, but going out into the world and doing great things. I mean, if you can come home and feel like my relationship is a source of strength in my life most of the time, let's say 70%, not 80% of the time, and the rest of the time, it might not be because life is challenging, but we can come back to the 80%. Then you can go out there in the world and do amazing things. I mean, I'm a living example of this. I know my crap more and more, and I can start to see, wow, like my relationship empowers me to become the best version of myself because my partner can support me. I can come back home. I can feel supported most of the time. And then I can go out into the world and I can feel like I can weather life's ups and downs more masterfully, and my partner can also challenge me because I feel safe around her. When she challenges me, I know she's challenging me out of love, real love, not challenging me to belittle me, to put me down. So this is where this working towards conscious relationship empowers, it touches all aspects of our lives. I'm like talking with my hand right now on this wood table. So I'm making a circle as the relationship, and then I'm doing like radiating sun rays that it touches all parts of our life, okay? It's so important because this is where we came from. I come from yoga background, and the yoga background sometimes overemphasizes self. Listen, I understand self-growth, self-journey, but we come from the beginning in this embodied mind and body, we come in as a human in relationship, okay? So that touches everything. And it's so important. And what you mentioned about the dance is that to maintain and perpetuate and grow this conscious, empowered relationship, it necessitates this dance. And it's a dance between being separate and being connected. And as we briefly talked about pre-podcast chat, that means that we're being called forward, and this is challenging for many of us, to stand for ourselves as an individual, to learn that we are an individual, that I am me. And what does that even mean? I'm going to say reckon with that. Who am I? And then to witness this beautiful soul in front of you as their own person on their own journey, even if they're quote unquote your partner, your wife. That's not, from a spiritual perspective, I'll add in, that's not who they are in the grand scheme of things.
The essence of that they be.
Totally. So we're here to witness, wow, they're on this journey with me right now as a separate person. And at the same exact time, equally, we stand for the relationship as a third entity.
It's good.
So when you're doing that, you're not going, as I said earlier, to one extreme where all you're thinking is that we're this relationship, everything is this relationship, life is this relationship, but we're not going to the other extreme of we're just these two people on parallel tracks, like roommates, or just like we're not like missing that depth. So this gives us both, not either or, that we can witness ourselves as separate and we can come together. And most couples have issues with doing that, and they default to one, which is more codependency, when everything is the relationship, right? My whole self-worth is in this relationship. Listen, I'm married. I want to be with my wife for the rest of my life. I love her. We own a business together. We share so much together. But you know what? I don't want my whole self-worth to be based on that. And that's no criticism to her, right? I want us, vice versa, to just be there in this stage, holding each other's hands for a little while, leading each other home. And then whenever that does end, I understand it ends. If it's with death, if it's because something else happens, one of us dies first or we break up, who knows? So the one thing is we get overly dependent and we lose our own self. We betray our own self. We hide our own self. We think that we can only get love if we hide our own self or betray our own self. And the other is, we're so separate that we don't really feel like we have this third space. So it's that's what I put forward, and I think it's beautiful, and it's a dance because it's an everyday. Okay, I'm feeling we're together. We're a little too much. Let's find some separation. Let's hold space for each other. You need time alone. Okay, we go here. We can witness each other in that way, and that's the beauty, because if you zoom out and it's a dance, you can see, oh wow, look at them. They're pivoting. Like if you're imagining literally the dance, like as an image, like they're close, and then she goes over there and pulls him back, and that's how it looks as we zoom out in life. And that gives us resource because, as you said, brother, like it's going to be challenging. Sometimes we need to come together deep. Sometimes we need that space. And we were talking earlier about you going on a hike, Lou going on a hike, a solo hike. How cool that is, how powerful that is. And that's for some of you out there. If you're feeling like you're overly, enmeshed in a relationship, and that's your sense of self, start to cultivate, start to learn how to own your own experience and own your own path. And maybe that means to go do something on your own without your partner and then come back together.
Because you'll be a whole new version of yourself. In the space, that's when you can integrate, that's when you can feel, and that's what can help create perspective.
Totally.
And then once more, it's just a reminder, because I love how you said it's a dance and there's going to be ebbs and flows in that dance. Totally. But if you step on each other's feet, in a meshing of the codependency, and then fall together, whatever it may be. But then there's an aspect of shame, or then there's like a forced, there's some trauma, or there's a forced separation, then like blaming of one another. But then as the entity, as the third party, y'all are suffering, but it's because there wasn't a continued establishment and choosing of each other, choosing your partner every day, and then showing up for them with a reverence of sorts.
Yeah, it's beautifully put. Like one of the things I teach my clients is to wake up every morning and state, like, I'm choosing this relationship, and then to also state, like, what can I bring into this relationship today? What can I bring into it? And I was going to say one other thing. What was I going to say?
I'll drop in.
Oh yeah, here we go. The pattern, to go back to attachment style, is that when we are a child and we're bonding with our mother, we get to learn this dance with her, and early on we're like very dependent. I mean, we need her.
Literally.
We have to go to and be and the process of finding our independence from our mother mirrors the process of finding independence as a self from our partner. So you necessitate what's called differentiation, which is a phase in relationship, meaning it's necessary for you with your own mother, your own caregivers, to say, we've all been through this. I'm me. I'm going to stand for me. I'm no longer just dependent on you. But at the same time, come back to that person. And that reflects our romantic relationships. So early on in a romantic relationship, we might feel like this is called the infatuation stage. So if you're in the stage between 1 and 2 years, usually 0 to 1.5, 2 years, you're going to feel that totally bonded place. And then a lot of difficulty comes up when you're asked to say, you know what, we're actually different people. And to witness that. And so the dance that we talked about, separation and togetherness, is often challenging because people have a hard time saying, oh, this person's different than me. And I'm different than them. It's like we can't, it's almost like very hard to face that. And this is where, to zoom out more and give the people listening more value, this is where understanding attachment is really important in conflict. Because often in conflict and relationship, it's very difficult to see this person is not me. This person does things I don't like. Well, if you can stand for them as an individual and stand for yourself as an individual and then stand for the collective, you can hold more space for that. If you understand your attachment style and you can understand why it keeps on bringing you into this space of conflict, you can hold more space for that. To get intimate with someone, to get really intimate with someone, it necessitates you witness and hold space for their difference. I mean, and even if you go to physical intimacy, if we move this into sex, for you to get physically intimate with someone and really share that space of deep connection, it necessitates that you practice really seeing this other person for their fullness as an individual and dancing with them with what they need in intimacy and having them hold some space for that. So I often talk about how conflict is a space, if done consciously, which I try to teach my clients, that can bring us to deeper connection and deeper intimacy. So all this stuff that we've been talking about, all these ideas, when we can move them into conflict more masterfully, we can start to see that instead of conflict getting us entrenched in patterns that keep the relationship low level, the conflict, when done with more awareness, can actually allow us to hold space for this difference and to see it and not hide from it, to hold space for our own self, to say it to someone, to have them validate it, to have them see it. Do you know how many of us want that in life? I mean, it makes me want to cry. I've been looking for it my whole life. We all want that validation. Conflict can actually give us that. Isn't that interesting? Not that I'm saying go out there and fight with someone right now. I mean, I'm saying conflict comes up. It's part of our life. It's part of human history.
It's an opportunity.
It's an opportunity. Yes.
Conflict it's an opportunity. And I love the idea of conflict mastery, as we talk about in KTC. Dr. Lance Von Stade talks about everything is a stimulus.
Yeah.
Now, how do you want to respond to that stimulus? And I imagine the more clear you are with yourself, the more clear your nervous system is, the more aware you are of your patterns, your habits, your previous reactiveness, your traumas, your triggers, your then awareness that your partner has of this, because that they've studied you, they've been curious about you, they've explored you, your mind, yes, in sex, in your body, but what about sex of the mind?
Yeah, I love that.
I'll talk about that. My friend Ellie Reyes, she talks about this and being able to appreciate deeper aspects of ourselves, to be able to undress the mind and understand different aspects of the mind and what makes someone tick. Why is someone thinking the way that they're thinking? What are the causes of these things? And when you're able to then see this person as a whole, and then you intertwine and then you connect as an entity into that third organism, creating more of a dynamic dance. And now you are moving as one in mind, in body, and in relation to one another. Well, I imagine that's going to lead for more opportunities for then better adaptation to move through things, because you're moving with each other, which is going to lead to more expression or better organization of the organism, because there's more awareness.
Yeah, I love that you said like to study each other. And one of my teachers who I mentioned before, Stan Tatkin, he talks about that. Like we want to become like a student of our partner. You know, we want to get to know, oh, I know when they have that look, I know where that goes. And I've developed, as you said so well, the space to not just react to it, but to actually be with it and remember, oh, that's what that's showing. How can I attend to that right now? And this is where, when I work with clients, I do like called top-down and bottom-up meditations, meaning we have to create space in our nervous system to become aware how we unconsciously react. And we have to create space in our consciousness and our mind to see the stories that we're unconsciously playing out. Because it happens in our mind with stories, and it happens in our nervous system unconsciously. So if we're able to just hold a little bit of space, just like I'm making, if you're just listening on Spotify or something, or Apple, I'm making like, you know, this little tiny bit, it's like a centimeter, an inch, I don't even know. If you could just expand it a little bit, and I give an analogy of sports, like a quarterback. So like a quarterback is like, you know, I'm not even a big football fan, but it's a good analogy. The quarterback is like in the pocket, and if the quarterback just reacts to giant men trained to kill him.
Yep.
Like that's what they're trained to do, and they're giant and they're fast. If he's like, and then he's not going to be efficient, right? If he's too, I'm okay, everything, then he's going to get also tackled. So his goal is, how can I create spaciousness to see options? I see the field. I see this guy. I'm feeling the fear. I'm holding space for it, because you need the fear to know I got to throw this soon, this football.
I only got a certain amount of time.
I only got a certain amount. So the fear is real. We're holding space. We're not pushing it down, because if you push it down, you're screwed. I'm holding space, but I'm also holding space to deal with it and then let it inform me and create more options. Same thing in relationships. When we create more space to see, okay, I'm feeling this emotion. If I just let it overwhelm me, then I know it's not going to lead to good potential here. But if I just repress it, it's the same thing. I don't get the information of the emotion. But if I can hold space for the emotion and say, what is this showing me? I had an old pattern connected to this emotion, just like the quarterback. Maybe the quarterback had an old play he used to run. It's a great analogy. Think about it. Quarterback, they used to pass the ball a lot, and then the team got aware of it, and they started, interfering the passing game. So the quarterback had to do a run. What was that old pattern? Do I want to use that now? Maybe not, or maybe I do. Do I have more options? And the analogy, I'm just going to keep on riffing on it, because the analogy is also that the quarterback is working for the betterment of himself and the team. So the relationship is also that. When you're in the pocket of your interaction with someone else, the idea is, this is also benefiting us. This is a team effort, right? And that goes back to the third entity. So you're holding space for all three at the same time.
And I'm not done with that analogy. That's some good shit. Think about before the play, there's a huddle.
Yeah, I love it.
So
let's keep on going. I love it.
Everyone's on the same page. This is where we're going. This is how we're going to score a touchdown. This is how we're going to get that first down. This is how we're going to advance as a unit together.
Totally.
And when there's not a clear communication with like a wide receiver, throw that ball, pick.
Yeah.
Pick six.
Totally. And to your point, I love this, is that a couple of more things we'll just keep on adding on, that before, in between games, you go back and you look at the footage. Oh, how did things go here? And this is what I ask clients to do. Like, take the time when you're more grounded and regulated in your nervous system, not in the heat of the moment, and say, how did that go? What was good? What was, quote unquote, helpful or not helpful? Where do we want to go here? What's our goal? That's another thing too. The football team, obviously their goal is to win the Super Bowl. But what is your goal as a partnership? Do you have a fucking goal? What's your goal? And then second, to riff on that, what you said, say you get into the huddle and the quarterback or the running back or the wide receiver is like, man, I'm just tired today. I'm like, whatever, I'm not feeling good. So what happens is the team starts to say, okay, you're a little under-resourced. How can we then adapt and make the team thrive, although you're not doing well, right? And that's what the couple wants to come back to. Okay, you're not doing so good. Okay, we're going to keep that into consideration. But it takes that person on the team in the huddle to say it. Not to think, okay, I'm going to push it away because I'm going to look like a wimp, or I'm going to push away, but to actually say, be vulnerable and say, I'm not doing that well. I'm just going to state it, and this is what my capacity is.
It's not sustainable.
It's not sustainable.
Because then you're moving as an individual, even though you're part of a unit.
Yes.
And another layer to that analogy, this is why it's great to have a coordinator or a coach.
Totally.
Because say you as a couple, things aren't working. Totally. You're down, quote unquote, other team's winning. Totally. Well, that's where you get to have the council of coordinators and coaches to come together to then relay the play or potential play that can work or something different, so that way the team can then advance or progress or something can shift. So you're tapping into the resource, aka a relationship coach or a therapist or whatever it may be. And when you're able to humble yourself, as I think that's something in the past that people can become so proud or so stuck in themselves, is that they're too prideful to then connect to their partner in that vulnerability, or I'll say that they don't feel safe revisiting the conversation of attachment. When you have I imagine when you have a more secure attachment, you're able to have this understanding of the dance with the partner. You can just be fully yourself for yourself first and foremost, but then connect to a person. They can then help you get your needs met. They can evaluate things. That way you guys together can draft up a plan. And if it's ever above your head, you don't have to have everything figured out. And as tying it back to my healthcare professionals and providers, it's like there's a massive strain at work, sometimes at home, or whatever it may be, or you're healing from school. And when your resources are tapped, once more, your relationship intimately is probably one of your greatest assets when it comes to once more coming back to thriving, because then why are y'all in the relationship together? Where are y'all going? What do you want to experience together? Are there some subunits that are kids that got eyes on you and that are also being sacred mirrors that you guys are moving then now as a family together? Yeah. But then are you openly communicating? Does the team know what's actually going on? Or are they just doing their absolute best to know what's going on?
Yeah, so many great points there. And I do think that that's like so important to have someone in our lives, and that's why a coach or a therapist or someone who can hold that space can give us some perspective, can start to see, hey, that's going this way. When we can't see it, we're not always going to be able to see it, right? To be able to zoom out and have someone show us a little bit in a safe space. And from what you just brought up before, I think for people who are running in the healthcare industry or running in work environments that are overtaxing, and I'm in the healing field, and I've grappled with workaholism for years, which is ironic, It's like
so ironic.
Yeah, it's like that asks of us some confronting questions, right? Because when we're working like that, we're probably operating on good things in an idea, like I'm trying to provide, I'm trying to do well in my life. Like they're not bad things, so to speak. But if you're in relationship with someone, what do you want, right? What is the goal here? And if you're coming back home and there's no space to give to your partner, I would argue you're not in a relationship. Like, I would just argue that. Like, and that might be confronting to you, but I would just say, like, if you're coming back and you have no space to give to your partner, then, like, you are not actively involved in that relationship.
You're not actively participating.
You're not participating.
That's like, you go hand the ball to the halfback or the running back, and they're just passed out, or they don't got anything. Therefore, then more weight's going to go on that quarterback to then figure something out. And then I imagine going to survival, because then there's, once more, that's why communication is everything. But if someone's resources are depleted, and not to say that there's not a ebb and flow, so there might be a push in an individual's life. more so than the other individual, like navigating different professions. If you're not, working together as co-owners of a business per se, or you're both not working at the hospital, you're both not at the clinic together. But that's once more the importance of the dance.
Yeah. And coming back, meaning, life gets that way. We're overworked, we're under-resourced. It happens, right?
Yes.
But the dance is, how do we come back?
Yes.
The dance is not, whoa, I just flung my dance partner across the room and they're just going to stay at that wall. The dance is, how do we come back to one another? So for people who are in that situation, come on now, like be honest with yourself. You have an hour to have quality, intimate connection with your loved one. You have that. You can cultivate that. If you're listening to this podcast, you have the resources to have a freaking iPhone and listen to this. You have that possibility. And you have to be strong like a spiritual warrior, a relationship warrior, and say, I'm standing for this. Just like you're going to stand for getting up and exercising and making allowing your body to feel alive and meditating. And if you're not, you're going to run that track and you're going to run yourself and the relationship under the ground. You're going to wake up one day and say, like, what just happened? Yeah. What just happened? And so one more thing, like you said, the reframe is, and for some people out there, it might be like, oh, I'm too busy. I can't connect. I don't have time now. I mean, I can be that way. I'll be honest. Like, I fight with that. I'm too busy.
Sure.
I don't have time to be with you right now. But to reframe it and say, this time with this loved one is my deepest resource. And it's what life is about. I mean, this is what life is about. Life is about this magic. Life is about this magic of connecting. This is like, just take that reframe and you can bring it into every aspect of your life. This life is about this connecting. Now, you might be running on a pattern that was given to you by culture, by your parents, unconsciously, that if you work hard and you make money and you're successful, then you are loved and validated. This is the pattern that, that the one team that's losing might keep running. They're running that pattern. It's like, I don't know. It's not winning you the game. You're not getting into the playoffs. That is a pattern that's very real. I mean, I have that. I got that from my caregivers to some degree. So it's for you to get more clarity on it and get it. Not say it's wrong, but say, man, this pattern of mine, I gained a lot from it over the years. I've gone to school. I'm doing great in my profession. I'm helping people. Not to say that's bad, but to say, you know what, though? I want more choice now. I want now to say, right now, I don't need to overwork. Right now, relationship is important. Right now, I am going to flex that muscle of overworking because I am good at this. And that's like the quarterback analogy. I'm sorry if you're not into sports, I apologize. But like the quarterback has a great throw or whatever. And then he starts to realize, oh, okay, that's helped me in college. But now I'm in the pros and I need more. I need more. I need to do more. I need to be able to run the ball a little bit. And so that expands possibility. So don't throw away. Go ahead.
I'll say even just utilize your resources more.
Oh, and you love it.
You might have been the stud in high school,
Beautiful.
but you're on a part of a fucking D1 team or professional team. There's people that are the best
in the world
at what they're doing. Yeah. Use that tight end, use that wide receiver, use whatever it may be. And as you're speaking, this is an opportunity to come back. Even if you don't get sports, understand this: you're part of a team. If you're disconnected with your partner or you just got to remember this: same team. Yeah. We're on the same team. So just like there can be infighting in a team, that's not going to be sustainable. So you can come back to what's most important. And we talked about this when we grabbed some coffee. The idea of co-regulation. The idea of being able to help soothe one another.
Yeah.
Being able to evaluate what's most important. Super Bowl this, Super Bowl this, Super Bowl this. But you might be in a compressive state and that team might be building. So then if Super Bowl, that can be the end goal, but what's the milestone? What's the step right in front of it? Is it just harmony with the team? Is it chemistry with the team? Is it reconnection? Maybe you guys just need to go on a date. Maybe you guys just need to go on a walk. Maybe you guys just got to get connected. But you got to have that North Star, what's guiding you, but you got to be able to create milestones and give yourselves permission to reevaluate needs. And because we're dynamic individuals, things are changing every day. And I imagine you're already a high-level individual if you're listening to this podcast. So you got to be able to evaluate what's most important right now for yourself with your needs and for your teammate and your team, which is your partner, and then eventually y'all family. And, hey, your furry friends too.
Yeah.
So what's most important for the unit that is your household that you're moving in with? And if you're able to synchronize the awareness of attachment styles, of where you're at, the dance. You're all co-regulating with one another, or you're helping the nervous system that is the recording agent that is your body and able to then choose something from the future versus just living from the past. You're going to be able to be in a space in the present that's going to be, I imagine, the most potent in presence.
The most potent. And like, to go back to the analogy of the dance, is like, you might fumble, but it's about coming back and continuing to go. Like my wife and I, we have little ruptures that don't go so well, but you know what? We've learned to come back together. Come back together.
I love that.
And
come back.
We're all going to not do this perfectly, quote unquote, but to come back to one another. And, yeah, I love what you're saying. And as I was using my hands earlier, this starts to permeate everything. And I love that you use the word resource, in which I talked about pre-podcast. If we start to even see our relationship as a resource, and we see all relationships as a resource.
Way to stair step into the macro.
Right? We can go zoom out and say, because sometimes I think this relationship, I don't know, I got to like win this thing. Right? Ooh. Or I got to like be better, or this person's in my way, or let me put them in this box and think, putting people in a box, worst scenario. Put your partner in a box, worst scenario. Meaning, that's how they are. They're this way and this way. And that's it. That's like, that's the death knell. And same thing with all of our relationships. If we can hold in this busy motherfucking culture we're in, overworking culture, if we can hold slight amount of space, this is why prayer, like intention, that's why I highlighted that. It's so important. Take a moment and say, whew, okay, let me witness. And think, we're all interconnected. This person is a resource. You know what? They might be a resource that's holding my hand right now. Like I go to Jamal, like he's a resource that's holding my hand right now. But this person could also be another person, a resource that's like putting another mirror up.
Yep.
And being like, whoa, like I don't feel that good right now from this. But what is that showing me? So when we can remember that, it's like, whoa, it's like both like inspiring, I think, and like challenging in a good way. Like, let me see this. But it's also like, like the universe, God, the divine is there giving me opportunities to see my growth.
It's all opportunities.
It's all opportunities.
Because we don't have to be this perceived notion of perfect.
Yeah.
There is no mistakes in nature. There's no mistakes in the body. And when we're able to slow down, we're able to take a look in the mirror and have reverence for being able to look in the mirror and give ourselves space, give ourselves grace, because that's where it all begins. Then I imagine the dance with each other. You imagine the macro with all the crazy ass shit that's going on right now, with so much fear, so much scarcity, so much limitation of resources. Even all those external resources, food, whatever it may be, it can still be shared amongst us all if we're all moving in communion and with harmony with one another. And I think that is one of the biggest pieces, because Daniel D. Piazza, Dr. Brett Jones, like a lot of people have talked about how relationships is the ultimate resources of this time. And when we're able to see people more for where they're at, why they're at, and how they're at, well, then I imagine that there's going to be a lot less turbulence, and the cipher are going to be able to navigate a lot smoother with one another. Yeah,
and to your beautiful point, just to restate it in my own words so that listeners can hear it, this does all start with seeing ourselves with that same ability to be compassionate with ourselves and loving ourselves. Self-love sounds cheesy. We hear it thrown around, but it's big. It's real. It is big. You know how many people don't love themselves? I mean, I have issues loving myself. So it's like, if we can really stand for that and give ourselves that and practice it, and then we can practice it in the world. We can finally give it to others. And that's a big point. So if you're listening to this and you're maybe not in a relationship and you want to move into one, okay, and you're at, in between relationships, one of the biggest steps you can start to move into right now is learning more about yourself and learning to understand and love your own self. Beautiful. Because you can only love another to the degree that you love and understand yourself.
I love how you said love and understand. Because love just is. But how much can you appreciate, understand, see all that is?
Yeah, and like Rumi says, it's like, it's not like, I don't remember the exact quote, but it's basically not, I don't want to find love, but I want to remove the roadblocks.
Nice.
Meaning like we are love, right? Like we already, and the same thing with like this idea of like being wrong or needing to be fixed, which some clients will come to me and be like, I want to fix this pattern. Again, the reframe is that I really believe in my heart, in a spiritual sense, is that we are already whole. Well, you're all good. Like you are fully wise, blissful, eternal, from my perspective.
Yes.
It's just removing we all got some roadblocks. That's okay. We all got them.
Just removing the interference of what is.
Some interference. Yeah,
just
exactly.
removing the interference.
And sometimes you take one out and you're like, oh, wait, there's a couple more. That one's a little like stuck.
And that is the dance, and to close this conversation out, that's where your partner, your relationship, like, oh, here, let me help you move that.
Totally.
Here, maybe don't try to move it this way. Try to move it this way.
You just read my mind. Exactly.
There we go.
And to show you when you're not going to be able to see it yourself, hey, there's a little roadblock there. Not like pointing the finger like I am right now, but like just through your interaction.
But, hey, check that out.
Totally.
Love you. That's all it is. Oh, this was a charging conversation, brother. Thank you so much.
I appreciate it. I hope it was of value to your listeners, and thank you so much for having me on.
Absolutely. Wait, tell me, how can they reach out to you, or what's something that you got cooking up that they can tune into?
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Well, we have a brick and mortar in Tucson, Arizona called Bhava Wellness, and my wife is an herbalist, so we have a whole herbal product line that she does. That's her whole healing thing. She's the more talented person in the relationship. I'll give her those props. In a different way. And then I have, you can reach me at empowerconnection.me on Instagram, and that's my website. I put out daily content for self-growth and relationship wisdom, relationship tools that you can learn from and bring back into your life. I have a podcast. Hopefully Jamal will be on the podcast soon, called Empower Connection.
Nice.
And you can reach out to me at any time. I'm going to be doing some group coaching immersions in the fall. And then, of course, I do lots of one-on-one work and work with couples. Otherwise, I just want to put forward, regardless if you reach out to me and connect, I just invite you all to explore, be curious with self-love and patience and compassion. Some of this can be confronting. Just explore like your own ability to get better at relationship. Like we talked about pre-podcast, some of this stuff was never taught to us, right? We took this blueprint from our caregivers. So maybe it's just time to humble, as Dr. Jamal just said earlier, like humble yourself a little bit and just say like, what can I learn here? Let me learn a little bit more about how to do a relationship. Explore, be curious. And there's so many resources out there. I could be one, of course, but there's so many others.
Beautiful. I appreciate your energy so much, and it's good to just have other people just fucking swearing on this podcast and just be able to express. Nothing to apologize for.
I get excited.
My
Yeah, my wife told me I can only do one swear word when I used to teach yoga a lot. I kept on breaking that rule, so sorry, Radha.
Love you.
Yeah, love
Thanks
you.
for seeing
exactly.
me. I'm working to remove any interference.
Yeah, exactly. You see that. You're trying to help me take it away. I don't want to take it away yet.
I love it. Final question for you, sir. I got a better way to ask it.
Okay.
How would you describe the coffee flavor of your soul?
Oh, wow. The coffee flavor of my soul. Well, when I love coffee, I'm trying to not drink coffee as much. So I drink a lot of decaf. I love the taste of it, and I like coffee with cream. Even though I usually eat a vegan lifestyle, I like cream. I like half and half a lot. So So I would say that with that visual, that my soul is like, there is a depth to it and a richness to it. Ooh. And there, like, if you look at a cup of coffee with cream in it, it is it's thick, and you can't see through the bottom, right? You can't see what's at the bottom. So I would say, like, my life, in my own little way, I'm hoping to reach deeper into the depths and explore what I can't see. And philosophically, I believe that as I touched on earlier, that all of us, we are a soul, and we have a body and a mind, and the body and the mind we bring forward from previous lives, and all the stuff we're talking about now, all these patterns and attachment styles, these are just all teachers, and they're there either to have us repeat the lesson, or for us to like take like pull the blinds back and see into the depth of that creamy, milky coffee soul and be like, whoa, okay, get it? So to like we said earlier, to see some of that wholeness that we already are. So
Beautiful.
Yeah. Thanks so much.
Oh, it was an honor to have you on the show, brother. Thank you so much. Y'all, please reach out to this man. He's cooking up some good stuff over at Bhava and all that he's offering. So any of my Tucson people, feel free to reach out. As we're here to be able to be a supporter. As Soul Coffee is here to caffeinate the soul of the Black and Hispanic healthcare provider. But baby, it's here to caffeinate the soul of the world. As keep this in mind. Anything that you might be experiencing is a human problem, and there's other people like it. And I want this to be a resource and a ground and a footing for you to get nourished at a depthful level so that we can go crush the fucking world in the lovingest way and best way and be able to shift your life in a very potent and powerful way, y'all. So thank you for listening, and until next time, peace.